Matzel pointed out, I was not at the meeting, so I cannot state one way or the other. All I can report is Daryl and I talked about this afternoon, but that also the letter of the 15th very clearly stated the $205,000 amount.
Letters dated the 15th. Today is the 17th.
Right, we faxed it out on the 15th.
Okay.
And then we get...
Only because of the meeting I had.
Because you didn't receive
No, I did not receive the 224,
Okay.
and I was at the meeting, okay, with Chris Martin and Mr. LeMay when all this took place, and I'm caught between a rock and a hard place here, because if I don't agree to it, I have no choice, okay? And it's unfortunate because I know exactly what Darrell said, and we all heard the same thing, but if I have no choice, I have no choice but to accept the letter of credit. I just think it's very unfair when there's no gas work and being charged for gas work. Okay?
Sir, specifically, what's the impact to you of a letter of credit? To
The impact is about $25,000 plus 20%. It's that simple.
The actual cost to you,
That's-
if it's executed.
Assuming
That's if it's called.
the letter of credit is called.
Right. What's the impact to you?
The impact is putting the money up. I'm putting that money up for that letter of credit. You can't get a letter of credit today
Understood.
from any institution in America without having the money there. So that's the only reason I'm asking was $205,000. And I don't mind, except that, you know, if there's no gas line work that I have to do, I shouldn't be penalized to put up money for that plus 20%. That's all I'm asking for. And if the the walking trail was reduced, okay, the number should have been reduced. And if the $30,000 that I disputed with Darrell that he was going to check into and get back to me, okay, was investigated, it's way overpriced. But whatever relief I can get, I would appreciate it, okay? But I don't have a choice. Yesterday. Nope, I'll just assume it, that I don't have a choice. Okay? That's where I'm caught.
Saying that the 30-day delay is costing you more than the difference in the letter of credit, and that's fine too. I don't want to, no, I'm not, I don't want you to pay more than you have to, but, you know, obviously
I tried to reach Darrell
time is
all
money,
day
so
today.
it's-
We were in his office at 8:30 this morning to try to discuss this, okay? So nobody can say that I did not
I'm not
try,
saying you didn't
and I'll just assume it, that's all.
So you were expecting it to be around 170?
Mhm.
Or
I was in
180?
one meeting for sure where that was not an option with Daryl and Chris, so that I can speak to.
But I think you were at a meeting when the gas line was talked about it being removed.
No, the one that I was at, the gas line was already off the table. We had suggested you talk to KUB because we didn't think it needed to be moved.
And they did remove it. They removed it. They said we don't have to touch it. They said to leave it alone. That's the meeting I'm talking about, Ruth.
Have no breakdown of this, so we cannot.
Oh, okay.
What we're talking about here is a he said, she said, whatever, and we can't vote on the basis of who said what.
Then I'll just accept the 205. Okay? I don't have a choice.
Have any more questions?
I don't know, but
Very helpful if we could,
If we could pass this subject to that issue being resolved and everybody agreeing to it, then I feel like I could vote tonight.
If I might, there,
well,
oh, I'm sorry, go ahead, Rick.
Sorry, Richard. I was just going to say, you can vote subject to the issue being resolved, but I would recommend that the wording being subject to Daryl establishing the letter of credit amount.
That's what I was getting at
Absolutely.
before.
Yes.
We
Well,
have other subject
I'd vote
twos
for
on
that.
here. And I would just like to have that option that they could continue to work with Daryl and come up with, if it ends up being 205, it's 205. But we don't want to postpone 30 days, and we don't want to have to come back to this body to resolve that one issue. What we'd like to do is get the preliminary plat approved, subject to the amount of the bond being resolved with the town.
Gary, do you want to say
Yes,
something?
were you? Were you in the meetings too?
Mr. Chairman? Yeah, I was in well, not all the meetings, but I was in the last 2 meetings, I think.
Tell us who you are, Gary.
Gary Palmer, the assistant town manager. This issue has been discussed over and over again, and the recommendation by Daryl is correct. They've gone back and forth, looked at the numbers. It's cost plus 20%. It can be reduced over time if you guys approve it, and there is some sort of correction. That letter of credit can be reduced after it's instituted. So once you go with what is being recommended as far as having it be resolved, this body is the only one that can really resolve anything to do with the letters of credit. And that's in our subdivision regulations. So anytime, and you've had it come back, anytime you have someone come back to us and say, hey, I need to revise this, it's got to come back to this body. So whether you postpone it or do a condition, it's going to come back here anyway. So it's my recommendation, I think Ruth would agree, is just to go with what's recommended, cost plus 20%. If there is some way to reduce it down the road, we can do that.
How far down the road do you have to go?
I would wait until we get the letter of credit. The project is going, and we can take a look at things at our own pace instead of trying to get it done really quickly and not doing it right. I don't know how far down the road, Mayor, to be honest with you. But quite honestly, if a letter of credit is hanging up a development, then that kind of tells me there might be another issue with regard to any kind of funding. So, this to me shouldn't really be an issue.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Have a motion?
As is.
Second?
As presented.
Yeah, with the 1 through 24.
Prove it like that, and then there is a reduced amount. How does that work? Do they get a refund on their credit, letter of
If I
credit?
might, ma'am, the way the letter of credit would be structured, and in the meetings I've been in, as portions of the project are completed, then the letter of credit will be reduced by the town.
Reality takes place.
Reality takes
then-
place, and so
then
that
the
letter of credit
goes
can start
down.
being reduced as
So
soon as
if they've got a
some
good
improvements are
estimate
put
and
in
everything
place.
works out, then it comes out, but the town's still protected.
Right.
There's a real misunderstanding on what a letter of credit is. He's not putting up all this money. That was just, so that's why I make the motion to let it stand the way it is. I think Daryl's a professional. The jury's handled this a number of times. I trust Mr. Palmer's statement relative to his being in the meeting, and I think we ought to support that to go on.
Second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you.
Thank you. Discussion and public hearing on amendment to the Farragut zoning ordinance, Chapter 4, Section 20, Parking and Loading 3, to modify parking requirements for large retail facilities.
In your packet, I included a copy of Resolution PC 1104 and Ordinance 1103. This is what we talked about at the last meeting with regards to reducing parking requirements for large retail facilities. That number is established at 50,000 square feet. The only two large facilities we have in town that are freestanding is the J.C. Penney and the Gander Mountain, and in both cases, we have been monitoring, and they are overparked. Even with J.C. Penney has 40 additional parking spaces above what is required. You can see that they're overparked above that by quite a bit. What this does do is what we just was illustrated to us earlier this evening, is it gives these particular facilities flexibility to make modifications as they need in the future and not continue to the overparking thing. And our goal is to always keep our parking standards to a realistic number. As I illustrated during the workshop last time, businesses do choose to build more than what's required. That's based on whether it is a study that they have done for their particular facility, or it is something that is a choice for marketing purposes. But this does not require that. All this does is state that if they don't want to provide that much parking, they don't have to. So staff is recommending approval of Resolution PC 1104.
Ruth, I just want to clarify something. When you say overparked, you mean having over the number of spaces that they need, as opposed to there's not enough parking?
Overparked means that you're not ever seeing it at capacity. Yeah, that wasn't very clear, sorry.
In other words, you don't have to search for a parking spot.
Yes, it's just a matter of
You may
whether
have
you.
to walk a little
Yes,
further, but
it's a matter of whether you want to walk or not, which can be.
Don't have to double park.
that's right.
That's right.
Do we have any more questions?
I move for approval of this.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Item number 10, discussion of amendment to the Farragut subdivision regulations to clarify a line of credit requirements and cashing procedures. We have that postponed tonight. Ruth will get back to us on that.
Yes.
Item number 11, public hearing on proposed location for new utilities. We have none at this time.
There is none.
So meeting is adjourned.
But before you all run away, I want to show some
Oh,
pictures.
sorry.